It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright, we're back with another Ghostface game. As you guys know, with the blood event being active, we were really trying our best to grind as hard as we can to get to the B100. And as you can see, we're also having to take the time out to use the basins there, just so we could fill up the, to help out with the community bonus and whatnot. As you can see here, because this is post-commentary that I'm recording this, as you could probably guess, I'm trying to get some stalking on the Atom here, but we're just not really able to do so. So I figured that we can try to go for the rotation, but I figured that it's just too easy to do, so we go after the Nick here, who haven't had any stalk, and that's what I highly prioritize when I'm playing as Ghostface, is trying to make sure that I have stalking on as many survivors as possible. That is usually the more important thing to do. Regardless of the amount, I try to maintain at least half. Or at least like a good amount of, just so that at all times you really can utilize our ability. Because keep in mind, we are just an M1 killer essentially with a Halloween costume and a knife. So we try to, utilize whatever we can. Now you're gonna see here that I did not break the pallet. I didn't want to give him the rest of the map, so I was actually gonna break it on that side. But I noticed that he's trying to like double vault a bunch. He tried to like run past me and go for the pallet, which obviously that's why I immediately was able to run around and grab him as a result. And then we take him to the basement. There was a hook there, but I'm gonna take him to the basement just to make it a lot harder to get the save, especially because they're still at the 5 gen mark. I was trying to actually go for the back hook, but I ended up getting the side one because of the prompt kind of like pulled me in. So then we just gone ahead and broke the pallet. Now the first thing I thought of is, okay, let me get to high ground, take a look around the map, obviously place down the droplet, but also take a look around the map. We noticed the gen already got done, so that's immediately when we start to stalk off the top of the building, so we can start getting as much as we can on multiple survivors. Now you can see here, because remember, I didn't start chasing Adam, now the stalking was a lot sooner. Now all we have to do is pretty much wait for either one of them to get close range, which we start to mark the Kate, but we don't follow her because Adam's also closing in. So we want to make sure we mark the one that's much closer to us, so that we're immediately able to just boom down Adam, and then we can just place him on the hook. And then while Kate's down there, she's gonna go save Nick. That's when I'll then be able to just immediately place the Atom on the hook, so that we're pretty much still allowing somebody to be on the hook the entire time. And because we don't have our ability, we're not going to worry about Kate. We're going to focus on Nick, so we can then leverage the game back to our side. We have Spirit Fury as well, so in case he wants to use it. But we have the Blood Circle active, so we're able to use a little mini coup de grace given from the event to give us that easy down, which I would have gotten anyway, even if I didn't get obviously because that Spirit Fury, so even if I didn't have that as Blood Circle, it would have still been a down just a couple seconds later. So we then place them in the basement again. They're going to be healing Adam, we know that, so that's why I decided to start going into that direction. But and then we had figured maybe they might rotate to the right. I figured they're actually on the gen, because we're listening in, we know what gens are starting to work on, so we start stalking the Dwight as much as we can. We get revealed, but that's completely fine, because we know that we're not really focused on whoever that is, unless it's the Atom, right? Now we're just looking around. We have the positional advantage. The Kate's is kind of trying to bait a chase. The other one's on a gen all the way across the map, not doing anything intelligent, so we're not really worried about anybody else right now besides this Nicolas Cage in the basement right now. Deadlock is blocking the gen that has the most progress, so we know we're in the hot spot. We're in the good area. Now Kate's just kind of standing there being a Dumbo, so that's exactly who we down. We take him out, and we're gonna place them into the basement as well, next to the Nick. That is the best way to do it, because now that means that either Dwight's down there or that's the Atom. I was trying to actually get Nick to get him into deep wound, but that's fine. We actually decide to once again rotate it back. We also, while we were finding Kate, we also were hearing that Atom healing, so we know that Atom's going to be going for the save. The Dwight's going to be running off somewhere, and now Nick is going to start panicking and pre-dropping every pallet. So I figured I'm going to at least get rid of them so that there's not any options for them in the late game, right? So now we know, okay, this guy wants to try to pretend he's using the pallet, so we're going to go ahead and just down him anyway. And then we also notice that there is a Dwight, so we want to at least have him 99. We break ourselves out of Shroud because we don't really need it, because keep in mind that we can just recharge our power that way with the pallet, all within the micromanaging. You want to micromanage your power, There's not really much Kate can do. I think she tried to bait a dead hard or something like that, but I think I just missed her dead hard, which is really good for me. And then I obviously just, you know, put him on the hook, eliminate him, and then we just mark up the Dwight as well because I had my power charged. Now the aim assist like kind of clung me to that shelf or that stand or whatever on the high ground there, so that means we just go for another swing and get the Dwight as well. So we walk right through that pallet, you know what I'm saying, because I really don't care, and then we just go ahead and place him right there next to the cape. Now we have Spirit Fury charged in case anyone wants to try anything. She tries to get up with Unbreakable and stun with the pallet. We use our Spirit Fury and immediately down them. That's exactly what we're looking for. They really tried it. That's why I had to make sure I hit them with the no, you know what I'm saying? Like, you tried it because they deserve that, you know what I'm saying? They really tried to finesse us, but thankfully we had to build for it. And not a single person really could tell that I was using Spirit Fury until it was too late. Because I made sure that I didn't really reveal that information because of how easy it can be to counter it, which is obviously a lot of the time it's the pre-drop and stuff like that. So now we know, okay, Adam's gonna go for the save. Let's mark him, right? So that'll make the Dwight have to go for the save now. So that's still pulling them away from generators. And the only healthy person is now one shot. So now it really doesn't matter who goes for the save, no matter what path Adam takes, thanks to Nicolas Cage from earlier. He has no pallets to work with, and we actually down him within the blood circle, which is even better for me. He gives me more blood points, and now we can place Adam in the basement to make it a lot more difficult to get a save. We're utilizing different aspects of the map, which is obviously the high ground. We're utilizing the basement. We're utilizing our positional advantage. And we're also utilizing Deadlock to give us that information to know what gen has the most amount of progress. And we're keeping everybody within that range. Now, one of the first things you're going to see me do when I walk out is start to try to stalk both of them. And the reason for that is because, remember that because of our ability, we make them exposed no matter if they're healthy or injured. So we don't really have to worry about them healing at all. So we just mark both of them just to get the points for it. We're gonna focus on Kate right now because we want to actually get them this time. But that actually makes Dwight just kind of run out the door. So that actually works out for me. We were able to then get our power back. They do pre-drop the pallets, so that helps me recharge my ability. And then we go right back around. We know that they're going to double back. We see the top of their head over the hay bale. So we're just double backing here and there. They don't really have a lot of options because they are exposed for quite a good amount of time. And then they also get downed as well. So this is why I utilize this particular build every game, because of situations like this where, you know, like, say if I did get stunned by that pallet earlier without Spirit Fury, they guaranteed would have probably stunned me, ran off, picked up somebody else, and it would have completely leveraged the game to their side, because it would have been a completely different match, right? But let's also keep in mind that if I had a different build, the flow of the match would have been different as well, right? So, but for this particular build that I use, it does have the early and mid-game slowdown options so that it helps me out with chase in the middle of the match. And it also gives you that information so I know what gen has the most amount of progress and allows me to create the maximum amount of pressure. And we also were able to close the hatch to give us the max amount of BP we could possibly get, because Ghostface can struggle with getting a lot of BP compared to other killers like Wraith or Legion, who can easily rack up a lot of BP, or even Blight actually. But we're still able to get about almost 300,000 BP, as you can see by all the offerings that everyone brought. So that was really good for us. And that's the build for you guys, so we can jump right into another match for you guys. So here we are on the Mother's Dwelling Red Forest map. I would say one of the tougher maps for Ghostface, especially the main building is very, very difficult to really get the most amount of value for it. But with that being said, we still are able to do something. You know what I'm saying? We do have a lot of areas to kind of use to block the line of sight to prevent ourselves from getting revealed. And we also have the added aspect of the lag symbol appearing, which can really give us a lot of a hindrance in this lobby. And you're going to see that the lag remains for the entire match. So we were kind of hindered by not only the map, but also the lag. And also keep in mind that gen speed is crazy. So you know that is all these elements that are coming into play with this type of match. Especially because we have Corrupt, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Now, even though I was able to mark here, it really didn't make a single difference because the shack window was facing the exact portion of the map they needed. So we tried to fake into a vault here and see what we can do. I think we're able to at least get them to vault, but they actually have to go for the pallet, which unfortunately is on the wrong side that I would want them to be on, because now they get the rest of the map. But on the flip side, we got rid of Shack pallet at 5 gens. They're working on the main building gen, but Meg is still exposed. But unfortunately, that is a god window, so we're not really able to reach it. I just kind of let it go. And we focus on trying to enter a different survivor, which of course runs, completely finishes off the first gen in the first like 10 seconds of the game pretty much. So we don't have a lot going for us at the start, but thankfully we find a different survivor who's going to give us some easy pallets, which then we can just use to go after Michaela here, which for some reason I almost didn't get the hit there. It seemed almost as if I wasn't going to get the hit there, but that's completely fine. Now, we know with Deadlock blocking the gen with the most progress, we see that it's actually all the way over there. So we figure we have to move as close as we can to actually get towards that gen to start defending it, as we're not really able to get a lot of pressure here. Now, we're trying to stock up Meg if we can, but we are getting revealed from behind because, of course, they're on the hook trying to stare at me. But I figure I need to at least start to get some stalking as soon as I can, because we are in a bad spot. We lost a gen immediately and we barely got it down in the first place. Another gen is already at 80% and we barely just got here. We just M1 because we don't have any means of actually getting our ability yet. But we do have Spirit Fury. We have to kick the gen because it is at 99 and we don't have any regression. We're just trying to cut off the angle for Claudette here so that we're able to at least get the down. If they decide to use the pallet, which it seems like they're not able to because I guess they hesitated, which allows me to then get the down on Claudette now. But then I have to move them closer to that generator that has the most amount of progress. But unfortunately, it's by the shack. So they do have a very easy loop, but she wasn't wiggling for a while. So that does allow me to at least be able to defend this gen. And we try to like get a good spread going because we notice that they're going for heals off of hook immediately. And the other ones are rushing out the gens very quickly. So we're trying to kind of play around that. And it's very tricky because we don't really have, you know, any gen regression. We really don't have the positional advantage. We're dealing with lag and we're dealing with a very tough map. So we're really got a lot of cards against us. The gens are just kind of flying very, very quickly. But thankfully with Deadlock, we know we're near the most progressed gen. We have to use this little back corner. Even if it's Shack, we have to use it. It's our only option, and we have to let that far gen go so that we can maintain a pretty decent 3 gen here. Now, of course, reassurance because you know, a lot of survivors will always have a second chance perk up their sleeve. It's without a shadow of a doubt. You will always see constant second chance perks, especially like reassurance. Now, the problem is that obviously because it's so easy to just pop reassurance and fly off, we don't really get a lot of pressure. I do end up marking the Michaela, assuming that maybe that'll, like, if I chase Michaela, it can pull off another person from the generator and then get them to go save and then go heal, potentially. But what we're trying to do here is at least go for Michaela. She just immediately makes the vault for free. So we're just going to have to continue to follow. We're trying to push them toward the back of the map here. So we are able to at least get that. And we also get the down as well because they don't know how to vault. So this is good for us. We were able to get the down. We realized, okay, cool. So we're just going to have to get this hook now because we have to continue to get somebody on a hook because we know that they're going to keep wasting time healing under hook every time. So we can try to use that to our advantage. This is Michaela's second hook, so that does apply a little bit extra pressure. But we realize we can't even stay in that area because if we lose that those 2 gens next to the shack, we pretty much lose the game. So even if we lose one of them, we will lose our spread and we will not be able to defend the gens at all, and we will completely get folded. So the best case scenario is start like checking on this gen, try to get as much stock as possible because that is the one strength that Ghostface has, is to eliminate the need for multiple hits. Now, of course, you know, the survivors are just experts at escaping and hiding instead of actually looping. So as you can see, we just kind of use that to our advantage. We try not to overstock a little bit. We just try to stay within range so that when we get the mark, we'll be right up close. You knock out yet another gen. And as you can see, they're not necessarily that great at positioning or even looping, but gen speeds can really just outdo a lot of the things that you can do, especially with an M1 killer. Now, I figure that I'm gonna have to try to just place them on the hook toward that gen spread that I have in this back area next to the shack. That's the only option that we have. And we have to use it. We have to get people on hooks because, as you can see, they constantly heal under hook. We have to use that to our advantage. We make sure the gen is still progressing, and we just stay within the proximity, taking a look around, making sure that no one else on the gen. We let them have the far gen. because we need to do that. We're not Blight, you know. We're not Wesker. We're not anybody who has mobility. Even Legion, arguably, like, which is still very still almost as weak, I would say, if not more so than Ghostface, I would say. Can at least kind of sprint a little bit, so at least you get something. But with a character like this, like, we just have to use whatever we can. Now, obviously here we are just cutting off the angles. We're doing what we can. We also use the blood circle boost to give us that extra lunge. And then I figure we have to kick the gen now so it progresses while I'm going for the hook. We're just trying to trade out hooks and trying to buy as much time for ourselves as we can, because we know, once again, they're going to go heal. So that means that the gen will progress in the meantime while I'm also going for another hook. And we're staying within this little spread of gens because that's the only option that we can use to leverage the game to our side, or else, you know, we just waste time flying off because of the first target we see. It's just not worth it. We gotta stay within the 3 gen, even if it's not to regress it, but just at least to make sure it doesn't get progressed. They do the gen that we want them to do. That's good. We're like, okay, cool. We're down to 1 gen. They're immediately saving. They're immediately going for whatever. I'm like, I need Claudette out of the game now. She's the one that needs to get eliminated because it's the last one that just got unhooked. We have to get her out of the game as soon as humanly possible because we are extremely behind. So we waited out just long enough, just in case it was dead hard or anything like that. Meg has a flashlight, I believe, or something like that. Doesn't know how to angle it as usual. The other one's running next to me as well. So we're like, okay, we know where at least 2 survivors are. We just eliminated another one. I would have to try to get Michaela out of the game, or maybe Kate or something like that, just to try to get more hooks. But we can't focus on Meg whatsoever, because if we run anywhere away from those generators, we're just going to lose the gens. It's not even, it's a given. Kate wasted time getting healed. That gen was still regressing. So we know that there's probably not any other gens getting progressed. So we figure, okay, let's let Michaela go over there. That gen has no progress. She's gonna have to start from scratch. We're gonna look around for somebody else. Okay, that was the game plan. We're like, okay, well, we don't see anyone else near the gens. They're probably like healing, maybe running back towards Shack because that is the farthest, or they're coming back to this gen because it is sparking. You know, they love the sparking gens. They love touching them. So we try to come back over in this area. We're just taking a look around. We have to keep an eye out because even though, and as you can see, look, they're doubling up on that gen. That gives us time to then start stalking both of them. But we want to specifically down the Meg, who has the more amount of progress. I was behind the wall and getting revealed anyway, so I figured there's no reason to really go for them. Not to swing at them. I know it's tempting, right? I've seen it happen, you know what I'm saying, with when I've seen other gameplays with Ghostface. I know it's a little tempting. You're like, oh, I need that hit, but no, just you need to be patient. You have to have restraint when you play this character because it's going to be any other killer. You're like, oh, I just need the hit, you know, cool. But like with Ghostface, it's like you have the ability to eliminate the two hit aspect, and you want to use that to your full advantage. Now we just let him go. We got our power back. That's all we really care about. But we see them all lurking in that back area, so we're trying to get as much stock as we possibly can. We try to get a little bit closer to get a better angle, but we're actually being revealed from 2 different directions. So before we get revealed, we mark up Michaela as soon as possible. She runs back toward, because we push her into that direction. She runs back toward the gens we want to defend. So that'll give us the advantage. Now they're gonna obviously drop the pallet, because they have to. But here we go here what we do is we cut off the angle. We don't want to let them get the rest of the map. So we keep pushing them to the back corner of the map, pushing them back. You know, even if they're working on a gen, we can still eliminate a couple of resources. We can still get it down here potentially, even though like I was hoping I would have got, you know, stunned with Spirit Fury to at least let me get the thing there. She decides to start faking for some reason, even though she wasn't doing any of that earlier. So I guess, you know, it still gets folded regardless, which is right on time. Now I figured, okay, maybe I don't really have time to go for the hook, but then I realized, nah, I do, because they love healing under hook. That's one of the things that I noticed, that they were going to constantly go around. So I figured they're going to be back in this corner if she's not dead. They'll be in this back corner healing. But I didn't even realize that she was out of the game at the time. That was something that I had overlooked. So now I figured, okay, like we pretty much have to find out what gen do they want to do next. They're probably buy Shack because he loves staying as far away from the action as possible. So we use that to our advantage. We have to then kick this gen again just to make sure they're blowing up the other gen. So in the meantime, we can then just start to like make sure we like, you know, the pathing we take is to hide the angle so that we're not being instantaneously revealed. We also just go ahead and down her. And then as you can see, the gen's about to fly. We know where Meg is. She's going to go buy Shack. I figured she kind of disappeared after that, though. I'm not entirely sure where she ran off to. But I wasn't really trying to overextend here because I figured they probably have Unbreakable or they'll find something that'll give them a second chance, or adrenaline. I'm like, I'm not gonna take a risk. I'd rather at least take a hook out of it, so at least in case of anything, if I can down another person, or if they do somehow get saved, I can at least down the K and eliminate it and still get a 3K out of it. At the bare minimum, because remember, the lag has been active the entire match. The gens have been flying. It's a meg, so they probably automatically have adrenaline. So we just kind of stay in proximity. The Kate does give up, and I figured I would check the lockers because they were kind of pathing around that area. They most likely ran around the shack, but I wasn't paying attention to that because we were just trying to secure the win as best we could. I also checked for a hatch offering, which didn't seem to be there. So then that's when we decided to start rotating around, trying to find where the hatch could spawn. Now, I would consider this one of the tougher matches, not even because of the survivor skill, but mostly because of the gen speed and lag plus the map. It was a really bad combo that really could have folded a lot of, I would say, a lot of the average, Ghostface players. The meg does give up, so that works out for me. We secure the 4K through that. But I would honestly argue that maybe the average Ghostface would have probably folded in this situation. Which this is why I want to put this video up for you guys, so that you get into a situation like this, you know how to handle it. As a sort of educational, and that's why we're doing the post commentary, so I can kind of look it over too, and also see maybe if I could have also done something better. And I figure this is probably the best case scenario that I could have probably gotten. I mean, it was just the way, just the best way to do it. In this particular situation, because you really have to take into account your opponent when you make a play in the match. So with that being said, we'll get into one more match for you guys. We also got another like 267,000 BP. So as you can see, we're slowly climbing the ranks. So we find ourselves on Lambkin Lane, Haddonfield. So one of the toughest maps, I would say, for an M1 killer, especially Ghostface. One of the most survivor-sided maps as well, which is insane, considering it's, the home or the block of Michael Myers himself. But apparently, that doesn't mean anything in this game because his own block plays against him. So I find that insane. I didn't know I was watching Halloween Kills. Point is, or Halloween Ends or whatever. Point is, we were trying to immediately go in here and try to, which my mistake was I respected the pallet. I'd never respect the pallet, but I was worried about the blood droplet for some reason, which was my mistake. I shouldn't have been worrying about it at all. That was already a problem. Now I figure we heard somebody break a totem, so I figure I'm gonna try to climb up and see where that person went. We actually see them running off into the street. Because remember, that window in this main building is extremely easy to use because their check spot is behind the staircase, so they can easily just watch you the entire time. You can't see them. So I figured I'm just gonna quickly just drop down a droplet, and then we just keep it moving. There's no reason to try to linger. There's no reason to even chase them with Incorrupt anyway. I just wanted to see if I can get a pallet, which we actually did. And we try to rotate around and just check and see what gen they want to work on. So we start at least stalking up a bit. I'm trying to lean off the tree, and then we're also getting revealed from 3 different directions. This is another reason why this map is very bad for Ghostface. And we want to try to get an M1 on Michaela. The Fang is also running around being cocky, so we just take back our blood droplet. And then we try to go ahead and go after the Ace, because we know the Ace is the only one that ran behind me. So we try to focus on getting everybody at least an M1, because we don't have any stalking. We'll actually get more stalking on Ace, because he's the one kind of flying off. And then we try to mind game it there to bait him to go into a position that is a little bit more favorable for us. But I figured, he's already gonna run into main. We don't like, and that's another spot that we don't want to chase in, is the main building, which already marks about 2 spots in the entire map that we just want to try to avoid as much as we can. But thankfully, we were able to intercept one of the generators so that we can at least, and we have 2 people 99, so at least that'll allow us to create some pressure if we can. And then we quickly just go ahead and drop the little droplet thing, so that we can just try to get some more BP and just try to help with the event and stuff like that. Because even if we had won or lost the game, at least I could sit there and say at least I got some extra points. So what I try to do is mark the Ace here. I was a little far away, but that's why I try not to stalk for too long, because when you do stalk, you slow down. That's why I try to just tap it, you know what I'm saying, a lot, just so that we don't slow down for too long. We still slow down, but like but like a little bit, so it's not like super like bad where you like lose a meter or two of distance or anything, like a couple meters of distance, maybe just like 1 meter of distance. Now we have Bloodlust, so that does allow us, and the Blood Circle, I believe, as well. So that actually allowed us to get the M1, which we desperately needed, because this loop, no matter which way they run it, is just extremely easy for them to abuse. So it is not really a lot for us to do in that situation. Now, this is one of those situations where you just kind of have to get a hook as soon as possible. We're already behind because we get the first hook after like 1 gen. We need to start getting a little bit more stalking on the survivors, but because it's just that easy to be revealed, it's just insane. So we just place down yet another droplet in the meantime while we have the cooldown going, and we also want to keep an eye out for anyone closing in. Open maps like this are very bad for us as a Ghostface player in the sense that we just cannot, like, they can hide behind like a bush and it won't stalk. So it really just hinders your ability. We're in this really bad situation as well where the hook and the gen are just miles apart, so it's really hard to actually get anything going, and they know that. And they're going to try to use that to their advantage, and it sucks. But we have to do what we have to do. So we go ahead and at least kick it. So it regresses in the meantime, and that'll buy us enough time to get an M1 on the Fang, just so that we can at least get them, so they can't really body block. Now, in the meantime, we figure, okay, so Ace doesn't have off the record. We hear him grunting, so we know, okay, cool. We can definitely M1 him if we need to. We should be fine. We're just going to specifically go after the Ace again. It seems like we're overextending, but it's the only play we have because we're losing another gen and maybe even 2 at this rate. You know what I'm saying? We're very behind. So we have to do what we have to do. Now, we vault in. It does catch him off guard because he's just so used to just abusing that broken ass loop on the window, so we just, so I was able to throw him off at least with that mind game. We're at least able to get that going, and we just place him on a hook because we realize, okay, the block gen's up there, we've got to start intercepting that. We know Fang's not on a gen, so it's really just like maybe 2 people. It could be just David and the other one. I also noticed that they keep like kind of waiting around here, so I'm trying to get as much stock as humanly possible so that I can go for Fang, which she just keeps like her pathing's terrible, so that actually gives us an advantage to try to get the down. But unfortunately, because of the having to stop and stalk and whatnot, it does mean that we once again have to end up in a situation where we're forced to try to get a pallet, which thankfully with the blood circle, that gives us that down that we need. We desperately needed that, which is good for us. They're busy rushing the gen behind me. They're leaving David on the hook, so that gives me the opportunity to hook somebody else over here, and then we can start to leverage, because now we're like, okay, we know that there's somebody on here. It could be Michaela. We're just gonna try to like just M1 whoever we find. David's hiding in a corner. I was like that was just a massive fumble on my part. I didn't start stalking first and then hit. Highly important, but I was like, I have to move fast, so then we just kind of lost extra pressure we could have had. Massive misplay on my part. Massive misplay. I should have pressed my stalk button first just to make sure. You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure. Because that extra second you take to make sure if it's the right target or not will allow you to get that down. Now, do we get the down later? Yes. Do we get the down now? Of course, right? But that's still, a massive fumble, because now we have to then hook over here, which is away from the generator. We could have literally downed him there, put him up over there on either hook, and gotten we would have been able to defend that gen upstairs. Now, we know that they're going to waste time healing. We got insta-revealed. I mean, that's just how it is with this game. You just get revealed through walls and whatnot, and even worse so if they're, like, modding or hacking the game. You can get revealed across the map and through walls from that as well. But, even in base kit, they're able to reveal you, like, behind complete cover and walls, and you can't really do anything about it. But we figure I'm going to focus on David. He's the only one that's injured right now. We fake it. There he decides to do some kind of FOV tech or something. I don't know why, but I took advantage of it, and we immediately got another hook for free because of that reason. Now the Fang is like trying to fake that she's saboing the hook or something, but it really doesn't matter. She's literally holding a med kit, so that means she's not gonna, like, come on, did they really think like that I don't have eyesight or something? I don't know, right? I don't know. Maybe other killers don't, but I was able to see. I broke myself out of Shroud if I could. Which we know we just have to M1 the Michaela. We don't have an option. because she could go for the save, and we have to make sure we defend it. We're in a bad spot. Now we know Feng is 99, so we're like, okay, cool. We see Michaela on my right, we see Feng on my left. I'm like, okay, so that means that the Ace has to come out from his little hidey hole and come out and come save. So we're just looking around. We're trying to keep our eye out. We're like, okay, we know where one is. If Feng closes in for it, we one-shot him. They go down, and we go after David. We leave her on the ground. We just continue to go after David because we can eliminate him out of the game as soon as possible. Because we know he's the weakling. We know that he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So this is exactly what we do to leverage the game. We hide the light a bit, and then we just go ahead and knock him down next to a hook. So now we have another person on the ground. We can then go ahead and hook them. They finish the gen up there. We knew that was going to happen because the gen was already 99 as it was. Now they're immediately picking up. So I was like, sheesh, like you know, I got to hurry up and get over there. So I decided to start stalking the Fang. She's trying to say, oh, come here for some nonsense, and then runs into the main building. So we know that they're just going to try to once again use the most easy broken loops in the map. So we just try to go all the way around while we're shrouded so that we can try to throw them off. As you can see, she thinks I left the area potentially, so that's when then I use to go into a different loop. Now here's another thing I tried doing, because I know that this one's going to try to abuse the broken areas, so that's why we made sure to go from a different angle to throw them off, make them waste time, and that gives me the pallet for free. So we're able to at least get rid of a couple pallets. She runs past the god pallet. This is all within trying to do things they don't expect, to buy me the distance I need, to buy me the things I need, because we are very behind and we need to do what we have to do. Now the problem is, obviously, you know, they still have a pallet, but we have bloodlust. So I'm thinking, okay, we can at least use that. We just try to go ahead and swing now. I figure that even if they get the gen done, we can, or well, they were actually healing. But even if they get the gen done, we should be able to at least get somebody else on the second state and at least walk out with 2 kills potentially, because it's still better than 0, you know. So we got him on the hook for second state. That's really good pressure. I figure there's only 2 gens in this direction that we're keeping an eye out for. We're marking both of them at the same time, but we don't want to completely mark. We want to go after the Michaela, so we figure, okay, Ace will have to get off the gen. But then I figure, wait, no, Ace is going to run for the save. He's much closer. He's out in the open. We 99 him, and then we just continue to follow him. But first, I break the gen. Right, we have to kick it. Just in the meantime, while my power is recharging, I have time to then go over there, which, as you can see, his pathing is terrible. So he's running super wide. So that gives me the distance I need, because I'm taking the shorter path. And then we go ahead and mark up the Ace and start going for him. Because keep in mind that the Feng could easily have some kind of endurance or whatever have you. Could have off the record, yada, yada, yada. So we're not really worried about it too much. Now what I'm trying to do, which here's the hilarious part, right? Because I could have just hooked Ace and called it a day. But I dragged him over here thinking, and I just had forgotten that Ace was the one that was actually dead on hook. So I had brought him over here for basically no reason. That was another fumble on my part. I wasn't paying attention to who I was hooking. And that is a very crucial thing you need to do when you're playing a character, like any killer really, is just to know who you've hooked before to then hook them again and start getting more people out of the game as soon as possible. So we know, okay, they're running into this very easy, you know, easy to loop tile. Very, very unbalanced. We know that already. So we're figuring, okay, we're going to have to try to see if we can listen to the wall here and see which direction they're going to try to run to. Because, you know, they're trying to, they're kind of, I would assume they expect me to try to go for something like, it's like, you know, the usual path. Oh, I'm going to follow, and then I'm going to vault the window, and then I'm going to do this. So I'm trying to do things that they don't expect to try to allow me to open up the opportunities. So as you can see here, because my pathing was so strange, it kind of opened up the opportunity just a bit here. Now, the only option they have now is the God Pallet. They're going to have to drop it unless they want to go down. So I swing through it just to make sure I got stunned, and then we just slap her down because you didn't see it coming. So then we figure, all right, we can at least get rid of the Fang. That's our best case scenario. That's the only one we can pretty much get to right now, because the gen's going to fly. I can't leave her on the ground because it could be adrenaline to get the easy pickup. We have to get him out of the game, and that secures our 3K. Now, because I know that the doors are all over the place, I figured that they would have to run to the door closest to where I'm at, because that's where the gen would have went. But it seems like they just kind of ran off for whatever reason. They didn't really go for that particular area, so I figured we just hold down the stalk button, try to see if we could find anything glowing. But I figure I need to find where the hatch is the closest to force them to have to go for the door, and then from there you can try to get another kill. So we're just looking around. We figure like the hatch can kind of spawn toward the back of the houses. Sometimes it could be in like you know, maybe in the middle of the, like in front potentially. Like there's a couple different spawns, and it's really hard to kind of figure that out. But we do end up seeing where they are. So we figure, all right, we could, if they are running from whatever path they're taking, we could try to go from the house. Maybe catch them running around the outskirts, but they actually just kind of started rotating all the way around in there for some reason. We see them through the window, so we figure, all right, so we actually hear the hatch. So I figure they don't know where the hell it is. I know where it is because I have more experience with this map. So I ran to the exact spot. I closed it, and this one I guess figured it out. So you know, she just starts panicking or something, I guess. Which I already know the path to take. We go this way, and then we obviously try to go ahead and you know, I mean, yeah, just a pallet. I mean, it's just a pallet, whatever. We can just break it as usual, right? They don't really have any options. Now, they're going to run to main. We already know, like, either the collapse gets them or I do. So they don't really have a lot of options here. It's still a 4K no matter how you slice it, so it doesn't really matter necessarily. But we're still going through. We're still trying to activate the shroud there, trying to use some mind games. I considered picking up the blood droplet at one point, but I was like, nah, it's fine. But I figured, let me at least try to like stalk them up and get extra points out of it. So I marked them in the little circle to give me a little extra bonus for my for the stalker blood point bonus. So yes, you can see, like, I saw her feet sticking out, right? So she's like waiting on the check spot, waiting on the check spot. I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and try to play around it. They can see me clear as day, so I'm like, there's no reason for me to try to like play around it. We just followed through with it, and as you can see, how easy it is for them to quite literally just keep running the same exact window because there's no counter to it. Like, they just continuously keep running and vaulting, and there's not really a lot you can do unless you can gain some bloodlust. That's what we use to then down them again. So then we just go ahead and get the pickup, and there's a hook directly next to us, pretty much ending the game for the survivors. Now, the reason I want to show you guys these types of gameplays is so that you can understand that that there's a lot of, I would say that like Ghostface is one of the more difficult killers to really get the most amount of value from, because he is the one killer that doesn't necessarily have a chase power per se. Like, he has the undetectable you can kind of remotely activate mid-chase behind or around corners and stuff like that to catch people off guard, because they expect a red light. But that's kind of it. You really have to use your footwork, your experience, and your map knowledge to really make things happen. And that's why I want to show you guys, you know, what I'm able to do with that. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. If you made this far, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things for me, and become a member for exclusive content. With that being said, hopefully I'll see you in the next one.